This week on a very special edition of the Bluff Sports Zone. Dome or bust. That's it for St. Albert. It's now or never for this flock of Falcons. Lewis Central is going to need some maximum effort. Does the Titans' playoff streak continue? They're going to keep on winging it at Thomas Jefferson. Will the Yellow Jackets run their way into the postseason pate? The party's over at Abraham Lincoln. The Lynx have nowhere to go but... Hello, I'm J.J. Davis, and welcome to a very special edition of the Bluff Sports Zone, our annual high school football preview show. Well, the sun is about to rise on a new season, and it falls to the Dome Birds to kick things off. Now, St. Albert made like the St. Albert of old last year, and the Falcons make a statement right out of the blocks, and suddenly it's back to the future.
Ball makes the grass grow. Kill, kill, kill. Ball makes the grass grow. Kill, kill, kill. Ball makes the grass grow. Kill, kill, kill.
And that the Falcons do. St. Albert lights up perennial nemesis Logan Magnolia, and it's game on. The Birds run out to an 11-0 record, round out over 36 points per game. St. Albert lands back in the Dome against Bishop Garrigan. Now the Golden Bears make more plays and end the Falcons season with a 26-20 win. It was a tough one to swallow, but then again, they all are when you get to the Dome. So what's it look like in 2017? Well, with about 18 or so starters back, not to mention a 3-year starter at quarterback, you'd think everything's set in stone up on the hill, right? Wrong.
Here we go.
The heavy lifting is underway up on the hill. 41 Falcons have flocked together to carry the load. It's an uphill climb, but with 18 starters back, the summit is within reach.
7 of these kids have been starting for 3 years now. This will be their 4th time, which is kind of unusual, especially at St. Albert. But you know, you got a lot of kids who put in a lot of time over the last 4 years. They're really hungry. They had a good summer. They're having a great fall. And if we're healthy and God willing, we'll have a great end to the season.
You ready to go? We go right 16 now. I'm one-on-one. Ready?
St. Albert will break out the 2017 season with a new QB. Kyle Barnes, one of 13 seniors, will throw it around in the spread offense.
The North and the East are always a lot bigger than we are around here. So we kind of figured, you know, we're going to get the ball in our skilled kids' hands. We're going to spread it out a little bit. We're going to put Waters in the backfield and let Barnes throw the ball a little bit. They were all pretty, to be honest, pretty excited about it. So it's been good.
I think we all love it. We've all bought in. We've all been working hard at it, and everyone seems to love it right now.
Junior high, he was quarterback for us, him and Luke, and you know, here and there we've used him for different things. And I mean, he knows the game real well. He's got a pretty good arm, and he's smart.
The smart choice at running back, Luke Waters. The former quarterback was second on the team in rushing last year, behind fellow senior Luke Gromstall. Now Waters averaged over 6 yards per carry, scored 9 touchdowns.
Being able to put Carly and Gronstal out wide, now it gives you 4 or 5 threats. So you bring Luke in the backfield now, and he's a little bit more what I might call a thumper. He's not a finesse guy, but he'll run downhill hard. And then Barnes makes great decisions from the quarterback spot as far as whether to give it or keep it. And I think it's just a good mix for us.
Senior Matt Fagan will once again lead the mix on the offensive line. Fagan, second-team All-State in 2016, anchors a unit adjusting to a new system as well as an age-old problem.
We got a little bit overwhelmed last year, and part of it was we were young on the offensive line. You know, we got to a point where we just faced a veteran crew of 5 defensive linemen who were all seniors, pretty well put together and big kids. But you don't want to run into that again.
These are guys that are supposed to play Friday nights, right?
Again, changes on the D side. All-State defensive end Luke Waters here switches to middle linebacker.
Luke seemed like the natural guy. You know, after only playing 1 year of defense last year, he kind of has a feel for it. And that allowed us to move a couple guys up to defensive end to give us a little bit more speed. You'll see some guys that are a little bit more athletic off that end spot that can, you know, give us a little bit of pass rush. And we should be pretty solid up the middle with Barnes and Waters and our big D tackles.
Another big key, the secondary. The Falcons flew away with 14 picks last year. Now 3 big birds chirping for more.
You've got Gronstal and Carly and Blaha back there. That's just your first 3. You'll be tough, I think, to find, especially at our level, 3 better defensive backs all on the same field.
We just kind of want to go out, dominate everybody, and we want to make them lay down early in the game, and that's just kind of how we've done it. And we want to be able to look at the guy across from us and know that we've got him beat.
Had him beat with senior All-State kicker Rodrigo Barajas in 2016. Sophomore Lance Wright is the next man up. And speaking of the next man up,
This will be my last season as the head football coach at St. Albert.
given a lot of thought,
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for the last 4 years, to be really honest.
emotional.
Yeah, very tough. I announced it at the parents' meeting the other night, and I lost it. I announced it to the players, and I lost it. And I announced it to the coaches, and I lost it.
After 22 years at St. Albert, the last 9 as the Falcons head coach, Kevin Colgett is set to walk off into the sunset. And so, the heavy lifting continues up on the hill. The Falcons carrying the load of a history headlined by 4 state championships, the last coming in 2009. And 8 years later, another summit is within reach.
You remembered on 3, 1, 2, 3.
You remember.
The Falcons have got to do it the hard way. 3 of the Birds' first 4 games are away from the nest. And talk about running through the gauntlet. St. Albert kicks things off at Logan Magnolia. Now, running back Luke Waters is questionable. The senior strained his knee on the second play in a scrimmage with Lewis Central. Andrew Hannafin will not play at Loma. Hannafin nursing a bad back. First home game, Nottoway Valley, and then another tough one at Southeast Warren. Now, Coach Colgett tells me it's quote-unquote a very mature district this season. A lot of teams have a lot of guys back. The Falcons close out the regular season with 3 straight at home. Running down the dream at TJ. And after the Yellow Jacket season last year, why not? Does Lewis Central rebuild or reload? The Titans set for yet another playoff run when we come back.
We asked a group of employees what makes our bank special, and here is what they said.
We're available to help our community grow.
We are available to explain the benefits of electronic banking.
Being available to our customers and communities is not only what ties us together, but also what you want most from your financial institution. And our new name says just that. Welcome to Avela Bank.
This portion of the Bluff Sports Zone brought to you by Cutler O'Neill Meyer Woodring Family-Owned Funeral Home, serving Council Bluffs in Southwest Iowa for over 100 years.
Max Duggan and the Titans kick off their season by running through proud Harlan 45-13. LC piles up 240 points en route to a 5-0 start. But Thomas Jefferson then picks off Lewis Central at Lewis Central. The Titans drop 3 of the last 4 games and finish at 6-3. Valley West makes like a runaway train and runs away from LC 45-7 in the first round of the playoffs. Yeah, it wasn't a pretty night in West Des Moines. Meanwhile, back in Titans country, the track's getting a facelift, let alone the press box, the concession stands. Same old story for the football team. LC looking to get back to the playoffs for the 7th time in 8 years. Sun up at Lewis Central. The Titans line up with 14 starters back. Now, LC not rebuilding.
Shoulder pads pop up, and you're going to get hit in the shoulder.
We're just reloading. I mean, I think that the expectation year in and year out is there. Kids' work ethic on the off season and multi-sports is there. So, I want to think that we reload.
Monster slant strong, cover 3, monster slant strong, cover 3, ready.
Strength of our team this year obviously is going to be our defense. I think we returned 8 of 11 on defense. A couple other guys with significant playing time last year.
Senior Dane Theobald here led the state with 10 sacks. Now, LC gave up just 7 points or less in 5 of 9 games last year.
I've been playing with these guys ever since middle school and all that, so we're pretty close and everything. We know what we need to do.
Losing Fig, he was a 3-year starter, but we got some athletic kids that are going to fill in as D-backs, so that's not a big concern for us.
A big concern on offense surrounding quarterback and Division I recruit Max Duggan with some go-to guys. The junior led the team in rushing in 2016. Number 10 averaged over 5 yards per carry and scored 14 touchdowns. Duggan completed 62% of his passes while throwing 15 TDs.
Yeah, he'll run the football. We probably need to get 12 to 15 carries from him per game, and without putting him in a situation where he's going to get dinged up.
What about the pressure of protecting a pretty good quarterback?
I mean, it's harder, but it also helps because he's a lot better moving the pocket than most quarterbacks. It also makes it easier on us, and he makes plays that a lot of quarterbacks wouldn't.
Every year you think he's really good, but it's just surprising how much he gets better. He puts in so much work, and each year you just see something new, and it just surprises you how much better you can possibly get.
We got a core group of receivers, and we got guys like Zach Brown and Zach Shipman and Josh Simmons, Dane coming back. So we got some guys we can get the ball to. But in order to make our offense go, we need to establish a run game, and obviously, rebuilding our offensive line and finding a running back. It's huge for us.
Walking into the playoffs is no small matter either.
First few years, felt like we were kind of underdogs. This year, I feel like we're known.
We just got to expect the best from every school we play. We can't underestimate anyone. That happened last year.
That's how you play through the damn whistle. You play through the whistle, you're going the damn corner.
People I think have paid attention to what Lewis Central football has done, especially 2 years ago when we beat Ankeny and made that run in the playoffs. I think that kind of put teams on notice that our kids they aren't they're not going to lay down for anybody.
Lewis Central starts a new beginning, having run up an average of over 7 wins in each of the last 5 years. Now, the faces may change at LC, but the results are the same.
1, 2, 3, ah! 9, 3, 1, 2, 3, hey!
Now, what about the schedule? Well, for starters, the Titans hit the road for 2 of their first 3 games. And the first one, a doozy. You know who from you know where. That's right, at mighty Harlan. Now, Lewis Central has wiped out the Cyclones in 2 of their last 3 games, including a 24-7 win at Harlan the last time they played there. So what a way to kick off the season. Followed by AL at home. Road trip to Sioux City. East then comes to LC, and that's always a big one. Then Urbandale comes to town. Now, the Titans have owned the Jayhawks the last 2 years. Always tough Ankeny a couple of weeks later, and then another big one at the Wick with a rejuvenated TJ. So it's not going to be easy for Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Lewis Central. But then again, so what else is new? Another new beginning at Abraham Lincoln. It's been that way, it seems, the last couple of years. The Lynx ready to take the next step and winging it again at TJ. The Yellow Jackets running down their second straight winning season. After the break.
For 3 decades, thousands of Southwest Iowa athletes have relied on our team, Jenny Ed Sports Med. Our sole focus is to prevent, diagnose, and treat your sports injury. And with our partners at Ortho Nebraska, we assure you'll get your own personal roadmap back to action. Don't forget about our free walk-in clinic, open every Saturday morning, August through October. Jenny Ed Sports Med.
The Yellow Jackets flagged down a new beginning by dumping Denison Schleswig 43-24. Abraham Lincoln then bolts through the Bees here, handing TJ its second loss at its first 3 games. But Thomas Jefferson grinds out 4 of its last 6, including a 42-33 stunner at Lewis Central. The Jackets average over 350 yards on the ground per game. Thomas Jefferson just misses the playoffs, finishing 5-4. It's the Yellow Jackets' best record in 8 years. And so the feeling across town is a little bit different than it's been in years past. There's reason for optimism. Winning will do that for you. Now, Thomas Jefferson, under the third-year guidance of head coach Brant Anderson, is on the rise. And with a 3-year starter at QB and a running back in year 2 of a devastating ground attack, who knows? Who knows?
Because football players do not play well when they're tired. So if we play better than they do when we're tired and they're tired, we win.
The Yellow Jackets, with 10 starters back, are paying attention. Negativity no longer allowed.
He knows he can go one more play.
Kids are pretty positive. They feel good about that, but we also talked a lot in the offseason about 5-4 is not really our measuring stick. We want 5-4 to become our bad years, not our good years.
TJ finished 4th in rushing last year. Now, the Jackets played at least 2 games less than the top 3 teams.
We consider ourselves the rushing champions of 4A, and that's something we want to hang our hat on. That's our identity. That's who we are. We never just want to go in with the exact same thing. We want to have a few surprises and a few wrinkles.
Gorilla Wright, West Gorilla Wright.
We would like a little bit more balance, but not a lot of balance. We're not trying to be a 50-50 team. We would just like to be able to throw it enough to slow the pursuit down, keep a few less defenders up on the line of scrimmage, up in the box.
Thomas Jefferson stepped outside the box, completing a grand total of just 15 passes in all of 2016. The Yellow Jackets, running the double wing offense, scored 37 touchdowns on the ground and just 1 in the air.
I think everybody's more bought into the system. Last year it was kind of like people were like, why don't we pass more? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? But then we've seen the success starting to happen, and that made people believe in it.
Believe in it after 3Bs buzzed for over 700 yards. 2 have left the Hive, graduated. The big one is back. Junior running back Cameron Baker ran for over 1,200 yards as a sophomore.
His goal this year is 1,700 yards, and I don't think that's anywhere out of reach at all. It's not like in an I formation where he's the focal point and he's either carrying the ball or people can pay attention to something else. It allows us to really put him in a position we can give it to him as much as we want, or we can use his other skills as well.
Baker on the carries for TJ.
While the highly skilled offense racked up over 40 points in all 5 of the Jackets' wins, the defense gave up over 40 in each of TJ's 4 losses. Defenses, you were telling me you lost a number of 3-year, 2-year starters. You've given up some points. How do you shore up the defense?
Well, what we really need to do is get our guys that are replacing those guys confidence early. We got the bodies to fill those spots. It's just all that experience that we're losing. We're kind of a gambling defense, so we know we're going to give up some big plays. We know we're going to give up some points, but we're going to get more turnovers. We're going to get more sacks. We're going to get more tackles for loss than a traditional defense.
Thomas Jefferson is no longer at a loss for attitude.
It's a lot more positive in the hallways, like when in the old days when we used to be 1-8, not so great. You could hear people chippering about it, being negative.
A lot of the people wouldn't even come out for football, being that we were trash, we weren't very good. So now we have more people on the field, more people in the weight room putting in work.
He's going to go inside. You're going to take the first guy that shows up outside his block.
He really cares about us. He's not just focused on football. He's also worried about our well-being.
We just talk about how the player's job is to care about each other, and the coach's job is to care about the players. And so I hope that makes me a player's coach, that the players understand that if our #1 job is to care about the players, we got way more going on here than just playing football.
Recreational softball team where you show up whenever you don't have something else going on.
What's going on at TJ? Attitude plays here. A new offense and a new attitude paved the way for a winning season last year. In 2017, well, the Yellow Jackets are 1, and that's a good place to start.
Family on three. 1, 2, 3.
And so the Bees are buzzing. A 5-4 season has spirits higher than they've been in a while at TJ. And the schedule? Well, it sets up pretty well, especially early on. Denison, Schleswig, and Glenwood at home. Now that game with the Rams, always a tug of war. Then basically back home in week 3 against the rival Lynx. And it's no secret AL has owned Thomas Jefferson the last 10 years in a row. Now the whole town's going to be there for that one. On the road at SC West, and then another one at Wickersham Stadium. So that's 4 of the first 5 at home. And then 2 biggies on the road at Ankeny, at Urbandale. Coach Anderson tells me the Jackets have to win at least one of those 2 district games to have a decent shot at the playoffs. And then, let's not forget October 13th. Lewis Central comes across town looking for a little payback after that stunner at LC last year. So what's the season outlook for the 4 CB schools? Will there be any surprises? And a new beginning in Lynxland. Will this be a breakthrough year for the Wolfman and his pack? On the other side. AL kicks off a new season at home. Same old story. Glenwood manhandles AL 41-0. Abraham Lincoln bounces back by blowing by Thomas Jefferson for the 10th time in a row. The Lynx dancing at 2-2. AL then drops 5 of its last 6. Abraham Lincoln, here on defense, loses its last game 19-14 to the other Lincoln from Des Moines. The Lynx finish a disappointing 3-6. It's been a while since AL last had a winning record. Remember? 2010, the Lynx just ran through the regular season unbeaten, only to lose in the first round of the playoffs. And since then, 5-5, 3-7, 5-5, 4-6, 1-8, and of course last year, 3-6.
Go!
You old schooled it right here. You went right here and drove through. Remember, we're doing this now. We're doing this.
It may look and sound the same, but
I think a big focus for us is to change mindset and attitude and that sort of thing. Come to practice every single day with the mindset of getting better.
Boom, get off. 1, 2, 3, ball's kicked.
Oh, it's been fantastic this year. I'm excited about it. It's so far, you know, it's early, but it's been so enjoyable. Practice has been great. Guys are flying around. It's been great.
It's great to have the Lynx' top 2 running backs back. 250-pound fullback Jasper Stottlemyre plowed through defenses for 676 yards last year. And right behind at 6'18", another senior, Lanny Herzog.
Jasper's a downhill guy. He's the guy, if you want 4 or 5 hard yards, you put him in, you'll have him run the ball. If you want the good speed, you'll have me run the ball. Jasper's more of the, we'll throw a fridge at you, and I'm more of a one fast guy.
Simpson camp, they call me the dumpster, so I don't know, it's hard to bring down. I can't really move it, I guess, so.
How does that make you feel?
It really brings up my confidence, but I don't want to get too cocky.
Let's go! Move the feet down! Move the feet down! Oh!
Not too cocky on the O-line. A big issue.
We've had depth issues on the offensive line since I've been here. I don't know if it's Council Bluffs water or what, we just don't have big boys. But we're making do with what we have.
Same story at quarterback. Abraham Lincoln rotated 2 in 2016, and this year, AL has settled on 1. Junior Sean Lorenzen completed 12 of 24 passes a season ago, threw more interceptions than touchdowns.
Ranger 48 Cowboy, Ranger 48 Cowboy on 1-on-1, ready?
We bought a quarterback system, and we bought some quarterback mechanics materials, and we've really, as a coaching staff, put that together and worked on that with Sean. It's gone very, very well. The changes and the evolution of him over the past few months has just been great.
2016, not a great year for the defense. The Lynx, with just 4 starters back, gave up an average of 35 points per game.
Defense is just to get stops. We need to start getting stops on 3rd down, 3rd and longs. That's where we struggled most last year.
G2, hit, hit. We're focused on run stopping this year, so our linebackers are really going to have to step it up a little bit, and our D-line.
We're not bringing each other down as much as we have in the past. You know, here and there's a couple slip-ups, like, man, do your job, you know what I mean? There's a lot where it's, hey, don't worry about it, you get it next time.
Stay on him, Jake. As a staff, we want to win football games,
Right.
but to me, that's not the goal. The goal is to create productive young men. So when they leave our football program, they can go out in the world and be successful. They're going to show up to their job on time, they're going to show up, they're going to work hard, all those sorts of things. If we can teach them how to do those things, then we'll win more football games.
And so they are off and running. A positive attitude looms large for a successful season at Abraham Lincoln. Now the Lynx have set the pace. Now they just got to finish.
We stand at 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, boys.
So once again, some uncertainty in some key areas for the Lynx. But then again, you can pretty much say that for every team this time of year. But I do know one thing. The schedule, brutal. Just brutal. AL opens up at Glenwood and then at Lewis Central. Brutal. And then the first home game against TJ. And we all know what that's about. Followed by Sioux City North. Look at this torture test. At Ames, home against Ankeny Centennial, and then home against the reigning state champs from Dowling Catholic. Like I said, brutal, baby. Not to mention the last 2 out of town. Simply put, Abraham Lincoln has its work cut out for it, and it's certainly not going to get any easier for head coach John Wolf and the Lynx. So there you go. Not exactly a walk in the park for CB schools. First up, St. Albert. With all the talent the Falcons have coming back, there's no reason these birds can't fly back to the Dome. And Lewis Central, well, with a D1 stud recruit at QB, surrounding him with talent is the main thing. LC has got to find some go-to guys. Well, TJ already has its go-to guy, but junior running back Cameron Baker cannot do it alone. And the Jacket D side has got to grow up and grow up fast. And finally, Abraham Lincoln. Well, we talked about that brutal schedule and a lot of question marks at a lot of positions, I think including at QB. So I think you can figure that one out for yourself. Now remember, as always, to keep it here for more news and information in your community by tuning in to the Council Bluffs News with Brandon Taverdi. And so for this very special edition of the Bluff Sports Zone, I'm J.J. Davis, and as always, football, baby. I'll see you around.